Today on the PageantCast, this is someone you all asked for, Dr. Tracy Kemble. She's a former Mrs. Globe winner. Now she runs the contest, and she's the CEO of the Women in Need Foundation. That's today on the PageantCast.
Welcome to the PageantCast, your home for beauty pageant news and interviews on the internet.
Hello everybody, and my name is Cecilia Margraf, your Miss St. Francis 2013, and you are watching the PageantCast with Tim Kretschmann.
Hi, this is Tim with the PageantCast, and we are so lucky, and you're so lucky to join us today because we have Dr. Tracy Kemble, the president of Mrs. Globe and the W.I.N Foundation, on the Skype line with us today. Hello, Dr. Tracy.
Hello. Hello again, right?
Yes, hello again. We've been having a few little technical difficulties, and I think what the problem is you're in California, it's 80 degrees there, and about 75 degrees have to come off of that before it gets to me in Milwaukee, and it's only 5 degrees here. So hopefully all that heat coming down the line, it'll come through just fine.
Exactly. We'll make it work somehow.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. I want to talk to you about the Mrs. Globe system. But Mrs. Globe and the W.I.N Foundation, they seem like they're completely fused together. And I want to ask you about the W.I.N Foundation first. So, Dr. Tracy, what is the W.I.N Foundation? What is that all about?
So the W.I.N Foundation is a nonprofit. It's a 501c3 nonprofit, and it's been in existence since 1996. And I started it having gone through a difficult situation myself, actually an abusive situation myself. And so I was very passionate about doing something about the cycle of abuse and educating people how not to end up there. So I started the W.I.N Foundation, and I had no idea how to fund it, but I did understand how to run a beauty pageant. And people ask me all the time, why do you use a pageant to fund the nonprofit? And I say, because I don't know how to run a golf tournament. So our spokeswomen, our delegates become spokeswomen for the foundation. They help us spread education and information. They're just these amazing group of women who are really on the front lines of the foundation, and they're our face of the foundation. They do work all year long as a spokesperson for the W.I.N Foundation, and they come, the culmination of their year is coming to Mrs. US of A, and they compete for the title of Mrs. US of A, and the winner of that then wins an all-expense trip to the Mrs. Globe World Finals, which has about 50 to 60 countries around the world.
Now I'm going to come back to the divisions of Globe because I found that there's some confusion sometimes about the different titles. What I want to ask you first, though, is you mentioned that you know how to put on a pageant, and that's why you use that for a fundraiser. But not everybody knows how to put on a pageant. How did you learn how to put on a pageant?
Oh, the best way to learn is to be in the throes of a pageant itself. And I participated in pageants starting when I was 17 years old. I've been in some amazing pageants where the delegates were supported and treated fantastically, and I've been in horrible pageants where they were, challenging ethics, let's say, and they were more interested in the production than in the people, which meaning the women that are there
Right.
to make the pageant look good, and without the women you couldn't have a pageant. And so I took all my years of experience, and I produced my pageant every year from the delegates' standpoint, making sure that they get a quality event from A to Z. And that's what we strive for every year. Hopefully we succeed, but that's exactly what our entire team strives for.
That's fantastic. And really, that is the missing link. You got to have something for those delegates so that they have a great time. What are some of the things that you do to make sure that the delegates are having a good time?
Oh my goodness, we're such a different pageant because we're so focused on the delegates. The one thing that we do is, one of my philosophies in the company is that these women are gifts to our organization. And so every day I want to give gifts back to them. So every day when they're at the pageant, they get just these fantastic gifts from our sponsors who provide so much. Like, for example, the night before the pageant wins, I have an amazing spa coming in, and they're giving all of our delegates facials and light neck massages before they start their work week, their pageant preparations, their pageant week. We have cosmetic sponsors, we have skincare sponsors, all sorts of sponsors. So one of the ways that we do it is we give gifts every day to our delegates, because our delegates are gifts to us. We also have, when a pageant takes place, only one person can walk away with the title. In our situation, there's 2 titles that a delegate can win, and as an alumni, we actually have a different thing I'll talk about in a minute. But we have something that's called the Globe Awards, and what we do is we try to recognize the individual efforts and accomplishments from the individual women, and it's like the Academy Awards. It's very prestigious, it's glamorous, it's fun, it's exciting, and so we have our Globe Awards that take place. We have a really fantastic program. It's called the Smile Program, and it's where up to 10 of our delegates can win a $15,000 smile makeover just for being in our system. We are the only pageant that has a fully active alumni system. Our alumni go back all the way to 1996. And they're still to this day actively involved in supporting W.I.N and encouraging the other women and becoming mentors in the system for the other women. So there are a lot of things. And probably the thing that separates us the most is the fact that by choice, and I like to say by choice because people tend to like to stir the pot sometimes, but by choice, the proceeds from the Mrs. Globe event are donated to the W.I.N Foundation, and they go to paying our teachers to run the abuse recovery programs, to being able to make sure that our services continue to go on an ongoing basis throughout the year.
Fantastic. Now, you mentioned 1996. That's when you bought the pageant system, right? Now, that means we're coming up on the 20th anniversary?
Almost. This is our 18th year.
18th.
There's been a couple of years in there where we expanded the year when we were changing the time of year that we ran it.
Yep.
We moved originally after 9/11 happened. I brought the international pageant back here to the USA, and I kept it on American soil for almost 10 years. Took it off to Europe, brought it back, and so we've been producing it in China now for 2 years. And when we did that, we separated the Mrs. USA Globe and the Mrs. Globe contest. And so now the Mrs. USA takes place on the first week of March, which is the International Day of the Woman. That's another thing that we did different. It's a lot of times the Mrs. pageants take place in the summer, and so we positioned ours at a different time of year. So ours takes place on the same week as the International Day of the Woman. And then our World Finals takes place in November of 2015 this year.
Hey, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to be back with Dr. Tracy Kemble. She's the president of Mrs. Globe and the W.I.N Foundation. More with Dr. Tracy in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Rachel Janowski, Miss Teen Illinois Galaxy 2014. And an issue that's really close to my heart is diabetes awareness and education. I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at the age of 8, and it's affected my life greatly, but it's also affected other people's lives. An organization that's really important to me is the American Diabetes Association. In fact, I'm the Northern Illinois Youth Ambassador for the American Diabetes Association. The ADA does a lot with educating others about diabetes and raising money for diabetes research.
Hi, I'm Michele Heston, Iowa Super Mrs., and you need to visit us at PageantCast.com.
Welcome to the TKPN studios, and today we're going to give you an insider tip on how to use PageantCast.com. A lot of people ask how they can subscribe to the show so they don't miss a single show. Well, it's easy to do. Just go and here's the PageantCast website. Scroll down a little bit and there will always be subscription options for the podcast. The easiest way is if you have iTunes, just click on that subscribe button right there and that will subscribe to the show right in iTunes. You might want to have iTunes open before you hit it. The other thing I want to show you is this feed button right here where you can actually subscribe to the feed if you know how to do such things. Let me show you another option that you have. Go up to the top and you'll see there's a tab that says subscribe. If you click on just the word subscribe, it'll bring up a whole thing about how to subscribe, some instructions on how to do it, and it'll give you all sorts of information. But the other thing that you can do is if you hover over subscribe, you see it opens up a little mini menu there, and there's the word feeds. Now, once you learn how to subscribe with feeds, these are very powerful because we give you a lot of different options down here. You can go directly to our Twitter feed and subscribe only to that, just the Twitter posts that we have. You can click on our photos. This is a very popular feed. A lot of people are following this one. Every time I put up a photo, it will tell you about it. Now, what can you use this with? You can use it with If This Then That and a couple other services. Also, we have feeds for just everything that comes out on our homepage, which includes some news articles, and our video shows only, audio shows only, and all of our shows. So you can pick which ones you want to subscribe to. And again, you can just cut and paste that feed right into iTunes, which can read it, or another feed collecting item like Miro and some of those programs. Check it out and enjoy. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate. Give me a call and send me an email at PageantCast@gmail.com. Back with Dr. Tracy. She is the president of Mrs. Globe and the W.I.N Foundation, and she's out there in sunny California, and I'm in Milwaukee. We're having a great time tonight learning about the Globe pageant system. Now, here's the thing. I've interviewed plenty of your past title holders. They're all absolutely lovely, and we thank you for making them available to us. I'm not quite sure I understand the different titles. There's Mrs., there's Ms., there's US of A. Can you just, for a dumb guy, can you break it down for me? What are the divisions?
Imagine that we're just like a Miss Universe or a Miss World for Mrs. The only difference in our system is that in our Mrs. system, when you enter, you can either choose to be a Ms. or a Mrs., competing for the title of the USA representative to go to Mrs. Globe. So sometimes our winner is a Ms. and her banner will read Ms. US of A Globe, and if she's married, then it will be a Mrs. US of A Globe. But you don't have to be married to be in our system. And the reason that we do that is we're really a celebration of culture, of women, of beauty, and for charity. And I don't think to be of a culture, to be a woman, to be involved in charity, to be beautiful requires to be married. So we don't require marriage, though it's about 70-30% that is the breakdown. And internationally, there's no such title necessarily as Ms. It goes basically to the Mrs. status. So when we compete, they go to the World Finals of Mrs. Globe. What we do have new this year, which I'm really excited about, is we started the Classic division. Oh. So we have the Mrs. Globe Classic. This is our inaugural year, and we have about 15 countries showing up. I'm going to keep it here in the USA for a few years. We'll be crowning a Mrs. US Globe Classic, which is a woman over 50, and then the Mrs. Globe Classic. And I have to tell you that as I as my team sits here and we get the pictures in from these women, they're hot. You can't imagine the bodies on these women, and because they have a more mature disposition in life, their personalities are fantastic, and I'm really excited to see what's going to happen in the classic celebration with pageants. And I'm excited to be at the cutting edge, at the forefront of the classic movement, and I know that many will probably try to follow, but it's fun to be the initial one getting out there and really promoting the brand and the celebration of women over 50.
Let's get down to the things that if I don't ask you, I will be yelled at by all my viewers. I need to ask you about the different categories of competition while they're out there. Is there a swimsuit competition? Is there not? Is it different between the different divisions?
Okay, so first I'll talk about the Mrs. US of A and the Mrs. US of A and the Mrs. Globe. We do have a swimsuit competition, evening gown competition. Internationally, we have a cultural night, and we have something in our system that's a little bit different, that it's not called the interview, but instead I call it the personality profile. And the reason that I do that is that what's more important to me than a woman being asked a question that she has no control over is to have a woman who has the ability to present herself so that she can get asked the questions that she wants, or she needs to. And that, I think, is more realistic when it comes to working with the media, because the media will normally start out by saying, who are you? Tell me about yourself. What do you do? And then from there, that can prompt a whole series of questions that she's able to intelligently and with a great personality be able to communicate with. So all that being said, we run something that's called the personality profile, and it's a 1-minute presentation all about self, about whatever you want to talk about, and it's about your public speaking skills. It's about being able to basically pitch yourself in 1 minute or less. So my judges have the opportunity to see the delegates in many social situations throughout the duration of the event, to see their social skills as well as their public speaking skills. And the reason that I do that is I think it's really easy for somebody to pitch themselves as perfect in a matter of the minutes that you have up on stage. And so I think that to get a very good judge of character as well as the right person for the national title is to spend time with them. And so our judges are there from the time the delegates get there to the time that the crowning takes place.
Fantastic. Now, the weights of all these categories, are they all weighted the same, or are there different percentages?
They are. And again, another thing that we do different at our system is that the personality profiles, which are the 1-minute presentations, are actually judged on by the delegates themselves. Okay. So in our system, the delegates actually have an input towards the winner that they want for the title. And what we encourage is to say, if not me, then who? And we inevitably get 9 out of 10 times great winners that the delegates are happy about, and the judges are happy about, and the sponsors are happy about.
Yeah, but the auditors have all those extra ballots to go through. I've seen auditors take hours just with 6. So good job for the auditors too.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's why we don't have that on the final night of the pageant. We actually have a complete standalone event that it's probably 2 days before the final night, and then there's the preliminaries, and that's a whole separate score of judges. And so by the time that the finals take place, the majority of the judging is being done. And this year, though, I can't talk about the prize, but we have a lot of twists and turns in the show this year, trying to do something unique and special. One of the things I really enjoy is trying to stay ahead of the cutting edge and doing unique things within both the pageant system as well as the competition itself.
Okay.
Right now, I don't know if you had a chance to see, it's really exciting because we're doing a campaign. It's called 30 Days to the Crown. And starting 30 days ago, we were delivering one beauty secret a day from our former winners, our former Mrs. North Americas and our former Mrs. US of A's. So it's been really exciting to see our alumni come together and all the great pieces of information that they're sharing with the women coming into the system. But again, that's something else that we do that's a little bit different. We have an entire media campaign where the stars of the show are delegates that go back 20 years.
Thank you so much. It has been great getting to talk to you and to learn more about the glow. I gotta go and see one of these pageants soon. I'm looking forward to being able to someday in the future.
Well, absolutely. Come back. You'll be our VIP guest.
Oh, I would love to. I would absolutely love to. Something we like to do at the end of our interviews is to see your best pageant wave. And I know you must have a great pageant wave that people love to see. So can I see your best pageant wave? Or you got both hands on that computer there?
No. I'll give you my best pageant wave, and I'll tell you why it's my best pageant wave. So
Okay.
my best pageant wave is this.
Okay.
And the reason that is because it's personable. You're reaching out. You're grabbing at people, and at the same time, you're not wiggling your fat arm like that. So,
fantastic.
outside voice.
Well, thank you so very much for coming on tonight's show, and come back anytime. We'd love to have you. Thanks so much. That is Dr. Tracy Kemble, president of Mrs. Globe and the W.I.N Foundation. And good night, everybody. Tiara Dreams. PageantCast.